There will be a day when nobody comes to save you. No hand will reach for you, no voice will tell you to keep going, and no one will carry the weight you can no longer avoid. That day will either break you or introduce you to the strongest version of yourself. Because the moment you stop waiting for rescue is the moment you discover that the person you needed was inside you all along. Chapter 1. Destroy the habit of waiting for someone to rescue you. The most dangerous kind of waiting is not waiting for the right time. It is waiting for another person to arrive and change your life. You keep hoping someone will encourage you, understand your pain, open a door, give you confidence, or pull you out of the situation you are trapped in. But every day spent waiting teaches your mind that your future belongs in someone else's hands. The truth may feel uncomfortable, but it is also freeing. Nobody can save you in the exact way you must learn to save yourself. People may support you, guide you, or stand beside you, but they cannot build your discipline, make your difficult decisions, or take the steps you keep avoiding. Your life begins to change when you stop asking, "Who is coming to help me?" and start asking, "What can I do with what I have right now?" You do not need a perfect plan, endless confidence, or someone's permission. You only need enough courage to take one honest step. Make the call, begin the work, leave the harmful situation, or restart the dream you abandoned. The moment you stop waiting to be rescued, you stop living like a victim of circumstances and begin becoming the person who can rise, rebuild, and move forward even when nobody comes. Chapter 2. Rebuild your self-trust by keeping every promise. Self-trust is not created by positive words. It is built every time your actions prove that your decisions matter. When you promise yourself that you will wake up early, finish an important task, leave a harmful habit, or protect your peace, but repeatedly fail to follow through, your mind begins to doubt you. Eventually, even your strongest goals feel empty because a quiet voice inside says, "You will give up again." This is why broken promises to yourself hurt more than they appear. They slowly weaken your confidence, discipline, and belief in your ability to change. You do not rebuild self-trust by making bigger promises. You rebuild it by keeping smaller ones. Choose one commitment that you can complete today and treat it seriously. Work for 20 focused minutes. Take the walk you planned. Turn off the distraction or say no to something that keeps damaging you. Every promise you keep becomes evidence that you can depend on yourself. You begin to feel stronger because your words and actions finally match. Do not wait to feel motivated before keeping your word. Motivation changes, but integrity remains. Some days you will feel tired, uncertain, or tempted to return to old patterns. Keep the promise anyway. The more often you show up for yourself, the less you will need outside encouragement. Self-respect grows when you know that even on difficult days, you will not abandon the person you are trying to become. Chapter 3. Learn to carry your pain without running from it. Pain becomes more powerful when you spend your life trying to escape it. You distract yourself, chase attention, return to people who hurt you, or fill every quiet moment with noise because you were afraid of what you might feel. These escapes may give temporary relief, but they do not remove the wound. They only delay the moment when you must finally face it. Real strength begins when you can sit with discomfort without allowing it to control your choices. Carrying your pain does not mean pretending that it does not hurt. It means accepting the truth without falling apart beneath it. Say to yourself, "This is painful, but I can survive it. I feel disappointed, but I will not destroy my future because of one difficult chapter." Let yourself feel sadness, anger, or loneliness without turning those emotions into harmful actions. You are allowed to hurt, but you are not required to run back to what broke you. Each time you remain present during a painful moment, you discover that emotions rise, stay for a while, and eventually lose their power. You become calmer because you no longer fear your own feelings. The pain may remain for some time, but it stops leading your life. You learn to carry it with patience, wisdom, and dignity until it becomes lighter. One day, you will realize that the struggle you once tried to escape became the experience that taught you how strong you truly are. Chapter 4. Become the voice that refuses to let you give up. There will be moments when the world becomes quiet around your struggle. The people you hoped would encourage you may not notice how tired you are. Some may underestimate you, doubt your plans, or disappear when you need them most. During those moments, the most important voice in your life will not be the voice of a friend, a teacher, or someone who believes in you. It will be the voice inside your own mind. That voice can either remind you of every reason to quit, or it can become the force that keeps you moving when nothing outside you is offering support. Most people do not give up because they are incapable. They give up because they listen too long to the part of themselves that is afraid. That inner voice says, "You are too late, you are not talented enough, you have failed before, nobody cares whether you succeed." When those thoughts are repeated often enough, they begin to sound like facts. You stop trying, not because the road is impossible, but because your own mind has convinced you that continuing is useless. You must learn to challenge that voice before it controls your future. When your mind says, "I cannot continue," answer with, "I only need to take the next step." When it says, "Nothing is changing," remind yourself that progress is often invisible before it becomes obvious. When it says, "You have failed too many times," respond with, "Failure is not proof that I should stop. It is proof that I am still learning how to succeed." This is not empty positive thinking. It is the decision to speak to yourself with truth instead of fear. Becoming your own encouragement does not mean pretending that everything is easy. It means refusing to use difficulty as a reason to abandon yourself. You can admit that you are tired and still continue. You can feel disappointed and still make another attempt. You can be uncertain and still choose a direction. Strength is not the absence of weakness. Strength is the voice that says, "I know this is hard, but I will not leave myself here." Think about how you would speak to someone you deeply cared about. You would not insult them every time they made a mistake. You would not tell them that one failure had destroyed their future. You would remind them of their courage, their progress, and their ability to begin again. Yet many people offer more patience to strangers than they offer to themselves. They speak to their own hearts with cruelty and then wonder why they have no energy left to move forward. Your words create the emotional environment in which your future is built. If you constantly tell yourself that you are weak, unlucky, unwanted, or incapable, every challenge will feel larger than it truly is. But when you begin speaking with discipline and respect, your mind starts working with you instead of against you. You begin to approach problems differently. You stop seeing every setback as the end. You start asking, "What can this teach me? What can I do next? How can I become stronger because of this?" You do not need to shout motivational phrases at yourself every morning. Sometimes the strongest encouragement is quiet and honest. It sounds like, "Do not stop now. You have survived worse days than this. Finish what you started. Rest if you must, but do not disappear from your own life." These simple words can carry you through moments when motivation is gone and confidence feels distant. There will also be days when you will need to separate rest from surrender. Rest allows you to recover so you can continue. Surrender convinces you that continuing no longer matters. Learn the difference. Take a break when your body and mind need it, but never turn one exhausted day into a permanent decision about your potential. A difficult season does not mean your dream is wrong. A slow chapter does not mean your story is over. Keep evidence of your strength. Remember the problems you thought you would never survive, the losses that once felt unbearable, and the days when you continued despite having no clear answer. You are already carrying proof that you are stronger than your fear suggests. Return to that proof whenever doubt becomes loud. Tell yourself, "I have been afraid before, and I still moved forward. I have been hurt before, and I still rebuilt. I have felt lost before, and I still found another way. Your inner voice will not become powerful in one day. You must train it through repetition. Every time you replace a destructive thought with a disciplined one, you weaken the habit of giving up. Every time you encourage yourself to finish one more task, survive one more difficult hour, or try one more time, you strengthen your ability to depend on yourself. One day, you will realize that you no longer need constant approval to continue. You will appreciate support when it comes, but you will not collapse when it does not. You will become the person who can stand in silence, face uncertainty, and still say, "I will keep going." That is the moment you stop waiting for someone else to believe in you. You become the voice that protects your hope, guards your future, and refuses to let you give up on the life you are still capable of building. Chapter 5. Build a life that still stands when everyone leaves. Some people build their entire life around the presence of others. Their confidence depends on who praises them, their happiness depends on who stays, and their direction depends on who believes in them. As long as those people remain close, life feels stable. But the moment someone changes, becomes distant, or walks away, everything begins to collapse. Their routines disappear, their goals lose meaning, and their identity becomes difficult to recognize. This happens when another person is allowed to become the foundation of a life that should have been built from within. People will not always stay in the form you first knew them. Some will grow in a different direction. Some will stop understanding you. Some will leave without giving you the explanation you hoped to receive. Others may still care about you, but no longer have the ability to support you in the way they once did. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, but refusing to accept it does not protect you from it. It only leaves you unprepared when change arrives. Building a life that still stands does not mean becoming cold, distant, or unwilling to love. It means loving people without making them responsible for holding your entire world together. You can appreciate someone deeply without placing your identity in their hands. You can accept support without becoming unable to function without it. You can share your life with others while still remembering that your purpose, habits, values, and future belong to you. Ask yourself what would remain if the people you depend on suddenly became unavailable. Would you still know what matters to you? Would you still wake up with a reason to continue? Would your goals survive their absence? Would you know how to comfort yourself, direct yourself, and make decisions without waiting for their approval? These questions are uncomfortable because they reveal where your life has become too dependent, but they also show you exactly where your foundation needs to be strengthened. Start by rebuilding an identity that is larger than your relationships. You are not only someone's friend, partner, child, parent, employee, or supporter. Those roles are meaningful, but they are not the full definition of who you are. You also have values, abilities, interests, responsibilities, and dreams that exist beyond the people around you. When you forget this, another person's departure can feel as if your entire identity has been taken away. When you remember it, loss still hurts, but it does not erase you. Create routines that belong to you. Wake up and take care of your body, because your health matters, not because someone is watching. Work on your goals even when nobody asks about your progress. Read, learn, exercise, create, save money, organize your environment, and protect your peace, because these actions strengthen the life you must continue living. A strong routine is more than a schedule. It is evidence that your life has structure even when your emotions feel unstable. Many people stop caring for themselves after someone leaves because everything reminds them of what is missing. They stop eating properly, abandon their work, ignore their responsibilities, and allow one loss to create 10 more. This turns pain into destruction. You cannot always control who leaves, but you can control whether their departure is allowed to take your health, discipline, future, and self-respect with it. When you are hurting, reduce life to the next responsible action. Get out of bed, open the curtains, drink water, complete the task in front of you. Answer the important message. Go outside. Return to the work you almost abandoned. These actions may feel small, but they stop grief from swallowing your entire life. You do not need to rebuild everything in one day. You only need to keep the foundation from collapsing while your heart learns how to carry the change. You must also develop emotional independence. Emotional independence does not mean feeling nothing. It means knowing how to experience sadness, disappointment, and loneliness without becoming controlled by them. You allow yourself to grieve, but you do not beg someone to stay at the cost of your dignity. You miss them, but you do not destroy your future trying to recreate the past. You admit that their absence hurts, but you do not make pain your permanent identity. Sometimes the person who leaves was the one you trusted most. You may replay conversations, search for hidden meanings, and wonder what you could have done differently. Your mind may try to convince you that everything would be fine if they returned. Be careful. Pain often makes people idealize what they lost and forget what it was costing them. Do not confuse familiarity with safety. Do not confuse attachment with alignment. Not every person you struggle to release was meant to become the foundation of your future. There are moments when you must stop asking why they left and start asking why their departure had the power to destroy so much inside you. Perhaps you stopped building your own life while helping them build theirs. Perhaps you neglected your friendships, abandoned your goals, or made their attention your only source of confidence. This realization may hurt, but it gives you something valuable, the opportunity to rebuild differently. Return to the parts of yourself that you left behind. Revisit the dream you stopped pursuing. Restore the habit you abandoned. Reconnect with the interests that once made you feel alive. Learn something new that has nothing to do with the person who left. Your healing becomes stronger when it is not only about forgetting someone, but about remembering yourself. Build financial stability as part of emotional strength. Depending completely on another person for survival can make you tolerate situations that are destroying you. Learn to manage what you have, develop skills, save where possible, understand your responsibilities. Financial independence may take time, but every step toward it gives you greater freedom to make decisions from wisdom instead of fear. Build mental stability by questioning the stories your pain creates. Someone leaving does not mean you are unlovable. Being unsupported does not mean your dream is worthless. A relationship ending does not mean your future has ended. These conclusions feel true in painful moments, but feelings are not always accurate descriptions of reality. Replace them with stronger truths. This chapter has ended, but I am still here. I have lost someone, but I have not lost every possibility. My life can change without becoming meaningless. Build spiritual or personal values that do not change with people's opinions. Decide what kind of person you want to be, even when nobody rewards you for it. Choose honesty, discipline, patience, courage, and self-respect, because these qualities become internal pillars. People may misunderstand you, leave you, or disappoint you, but they cannot remove values you have chosen to live by. You also need more than one source of support. One person should never be responsible for meeting every emotional need in your life. Create a wider structure, healthy friendships, meaningful work, family connections where possible, personal routines, community, learning, and time alone. When support comes from several healthy areas, the loss of one relationship remains painful, but it does not leave your entire life empty. Be careful not to rebuild your life only to prove something to those who left. Improvement driven entirely by revenge still gives them too much power. Do not become successful just to make someone regret losing you. Do not heal only so they can see what they missed. Build for the person you are becoming. Create peace that remains valuable even if they never witness it. The strongest transformation is not the one that makes others jealous. It is the one that makes their opinion unnecessary. There will be days when you feel strong, and days when an old memory suddenly weakens you. Healing is not a straight line. A difficult evening does not erase months of progress. Missing someone does not mean you should return. Feeling lonely does not mean you made the wrong decision. You can honor your emotions without allowing them to rewrite the truth. Learn to enjoy your own company. At first, silence may feel uncomfortable because it reveals how much noise other people created in your life. Stay with it. Take yourself somewhere peaceful. Eat without needing constant distraction. Walk without calling someone. Sit with your thoughts and learn which ones deserve your attention. Solitude becomes less frightening when you stop treating it as proof that nobody cares. It can become the place where you finally hear your own voice again. Protect your future from emotional decisions. When someone leaves, you may feel tempted to abandon everything, make reckless choices, or attach yourself quickly to someone new. Pause. Do not allow temporary pain to choose a permanent direction. Give yourself time to understand what happened, what it taught you, and what must change before you open your life again. The goal is not to become a person who needs nobody. Human beings need connection, love, and support. The goal is to become someone who does not disappear when support disappears. You can receive love without losing your center. You can lean on people without handing them control of your entire balance. You can allow others into your life without giving them the power to end it emotionally when they leave. One day, someone may walk away, and you will still feel the pain. You may cry, grieve, and need time to recover. But you will continue eating, working, learning, building, and protecting your future. Your life will bend, but it will not break. Your heart will hurt, but your identity will remain. You will miss what was lost without losing everything that still belongs to you. That is real strength. It is not pretending that people do not matter. It is refusing to make any person more important than the life you are responsible for building. Love deeply, but keep your foundation. Care sincerely, but preserve your direction. Allow people to walk beside you, but never stop learning how to walk on your own. Build a life with goals that still call you forward, routines that hold you steady, values that guide your choices, and self-respect that remains when approval disappears. Then, when people leave, you will not have to begin from nothing. You will still have your purpose, your discipline, your voice, and the future you refuse to abandon. People may become part of your life, but they must never become the entire structure. Let them add warmth, meaning, and connection, but do not give them every wall, every door, and every reason to keep going. Build something within yourself that no departure can completely destroy. Make your life strong enough to survive changing relationships, unanswered questions, broken expectations, and lonely seasons. Become someone who can grieve without collapsing, remember without returning, and continue without being rescued. When your foundation is built inside you, the departure of others may change your life, but it will never again have the power to end it. Chapter 6. Protect the person you are becoming with better decisions. Every decision you make is either protecting your future or quietly damaging it. Some choices feel harmless because their consequences do not appear immediately. You delay important work, return to a person who has already hurt you, spend money you cannot afford, ignore your health, or choose temporary comfort over long-term growth. Nothing seems to collapse in that moment, so you tell yourself it is not serious. But your future is shaped less by one dramatic decision and more by the small choices you repeat when nobody is watching. The person you are becoming is depending on the decisions you make today. Your future self cannot step into the present and stop you from wasting another year. They cannot take the phone out of your hand, end the harmful relationship, complete the work you keep avoiding, or force you to protect your peace. They must live with whatever you repeatedly choose now. Every excuse you accept becomes a burden they may have to carry. Every disciplined action becomes a gift waiting for them. Before making a decision, ask yourself a simple but powerful question. Will this choice make my future stronger, or will it create another problem I will have to repair? This question changes everything because it forces you to look beyond the emotion of the moment. You stop asking only what feels good now and begin considering what will still feel right tomorrow, next month, or next year. Many destructive decisions are not made because people want to ruin their lives. They are made because people want immediate relief. They are tired, lonely, angry, bored, rejected, or afraid, and they want the uncomfortable feeling to disappear, so they choose whatever brings the fastest comfort. They send the message they know they should not send. They return to the habit they promised to leave. They spend hours escaping into distraction. They say yes because saying no might disappoint someone. The relief lasts for a moment, but the consequence remains much longer. Temporary relief can become one of the most expensive things in your life. It can cost you time, confidence, money, health, dignity, and opportunities. Something does not need to look dangerous to delay your future. Sometimes the most destructive choices arrive disguised as comfort. Better decisions often feel uncomfortable at first. Saying no may make you feel guilty. Walking away may make you feel lonely. Starting again may make you feel embarrassed. Discipline may feel restrictive. Silence may feel difficult when you desperately want to explain yourself. But discomfort does not automatically mean that a decision is wrong. Sometimes discomfort is the price of protecting yourself from a much deeper pain. You must learn to choose between two kinds of pain, the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Discipline asks you to endure discomfort now so that your future becomes stronger. Regret allows you to feel comfortable now, but demands a much larger payment later. One pain builds you. The other keeps returning to remind you of what you failed to protect. Protecting your future begins with honesty. You cannot make better decisions while lying to yourself about what is harming you. Stop calling repeated disrespect a misunderstanding. Stop calling procrastination waiting for the right moment. Stop calling fear being realistic. Stop calling unhealthy attachment deep love. Stop calling avoidance protecting your peace when you are actually refusing to face responsibility. Honesty may hurt your feelings, but self-deception can waste your life. You need the courage to say, this pattern is not helping me, this person is not good for me, this habit is making me weaker, this environment is keeping me small. This decision may feel familiar, but it is not taking me where I want to go. You already know more than you admit. There have been moments when your mind warned you before you made a decision. You felt the hesitation. You noticed the red flag. You knew you were betraying your own standards, but you ignored that inner warning because the easier choice was more attractive. Afterwards, you said you had no idea what would happen, but deep inside, you knew enough to pause. Learn to respect that pause. When something inside you says, think again, do not rush. Step back from the emotion. Give yourself time before answering, committing, purchasing, quitting, returning, or reacting. Not every decision must be made immediately. Urgency is often used by fear, pressure, and manipulation to prevent you from thinking clearly. A strong person does not make permanent decisions in temporary emotional states. When you are angry, your mind wants justice immediately. When you are lonely, it wants connection at any cost. When you are afraid, it wants safety without considering the price. When you are exhausted, it wants escape. These emotions are real, but they are not always wise leaders. Give your emotions space without handing them control. Tell yourself, I understand why I feel this way, but I will not make a choice that my calmer self must repair. Walk away for an hour. Sleep before responding. Write down what you want to say without sending it. Ask what you will think about the decision when the emotion becomes quieter. Your future needs protection from your impulsive moments. Better decisions also require clear standards. When you do not know what you stand for, every situation can convince you to lower yourself. You accept behavior you once promised never to tolerate. You abandon goals whenever they become inconvenient. You keep changing direction according to other people's opinions. Without standards, your life becomes a series of reactions. Decide what is no longer negotiable. Perhaps you will no longer remain where disrespect becomes a pattern. Perhaps you will stop making promises you do not intend to keep. Perhaps you will protect certain hours for work, health, or learning. Perhaps you will stop spending money to impress people. Perhaps you will no longer chase anyone who repeatedly shows uncertainty about you. Standards reduce confusion. They help you make decisions before emotion becomes involved. Instead of asking, "What should I do?" every time the same harmful pattern appears, you already know the answer because you decided what your future deserves. Do not confuse standards with pride. Pride says, "I am better than everyone." Standards say, "I am responsible for what I continue allowing into my life." One tries to control other people. The other controls access to your time, attention, energy, and trust. You must also understand that every yes is a no to something else. When you say yes to distraction, you say no to focused progress. When you say yes to people who constantly drain you, you say no to your own recovery. When you say yes to spending carelessly, you say no to future security. When you say yes to remaining comfortable, you may be saying no to the life you claim to want. This does not mean you should never rest, enjoy yourself, or help others. It means you must become aware of what each decision is costing. Some choices are expensive even when no money is involved. They cost hours, confidence, peace, or momentum. Time is one of the greatest things you must protect. You may earn money again, rebuild relationships, or learn new skills, but you cannot recover years spent waiting, pleasing, avoiding, and repeating the same mistakes. Many people defend small amounts of money more carefully than they defend entire days of their life. They would never allow someone to steal from their wallet, yet they repeatedly allow distractions, unnecessary drama, and meaningless obligations to steal their attention. Protect your time by deciding what deserves it. Not every message needs an immediate response. Not every argument deserves your energy. Not every invitation deserves a yes. Not every person deserves unlimited access to you. Your attention is part of your life. Where you place it determines what grows. Your future also depends on the decisions you make about your environment. It is difficult to become disciplined in a space designed for distraction. It is difficult to heal while remaining surrounded by people who keep reopening your wounds. It is difficult to think clearly when your day is filled with noise, interruption, and disorder. You do not always need more willpower. Sometimes you need a better environment. Remove the temptation before it begins controlling you. Put distance between yourself and what repeatedly weakens you. Keep your goals visible. Make good actions easier and destructive actions more difficult. Your surroundings quietly influence your choices, so build an environment that supports the person you are becoming. Pay attention to the people around you. Some people encourage your growth, while others feel threatened by it. They may laugh at your discipline, question your boundaries, or tempt you back toward the habits you are trying to leave. They are comfortable with the old version of you because that version was easier to influence. You do not need to hate them, argue with them, or announce your transformation. You only need to protect your direction. Spend more time around people whose lives remind you to become better. Limit access to anyone who repeatedly pulls you away from your values. You cannot build a strong future while constantly returning to environments that reward your weakness. Better decisions require the ability to disappoint people. This is difficult for anyone who has built their identity around being helpful, agreeable, or easy to love. You may feel responsible for everyone's comfort. You say yes when you are tired, remain silent when you are disrespected, and sacrifice your priorities because you do not want to look selfish. But saying yes to everyone can become a way of saying no to yourself. You cannot protect your future while allowing guilt to control every decision. Some people will be disappointed when you begin setting limits because they benefited from your lack of boundaries. Their disappointment does not mean your decision is wrong. Learn to say, "I cannot do that," without writing an entire explanation. Learn to leave conversations that are becoming harmful. Learn to protect your schedule without apologizing for having priorities. You are not required to destroy yourself to prove that you are a good person. You must also protect your future from the need to be understood. Sometimes you know the right decision, but you delay it because you want everyone to agree with you. You want them to understand why you are leaving, changing, resting, refusing, or starting over. But not everyone will understand a decision designed to protect a life they do not have to live. You may have to choose what is right for you while being misunderstood by others. Their opinions may be loud, but they will not carry the consequences of your choices. They will return to their own lives while you remain with the result. Do not hand people voting rights over a future they are not responsible for building. Better decisions are not always dramatic. Often they look ordinary. Going to sleep instead of wasting another hour, completing your work before reaching for entertainment, saving a small amount consistently, leaving a conversation before anger takes over, taking care of your health while you still feel well, refusing to check the page of someone you are trying to forget, reading 10 pages instead of scrolling mindlessly. These actions may not feel life-changing in the moment, but repetition turns them into identity. You become disciplined by making disciplined decisions. You become trustworthy by keeping your word. You become emotionally strong by choosing dignity when attachment tells you to beg. You become independent by handling responsibilities instead of waiting for rescue. Your life follows the direction of your repeated choices. Do not become discouraged when you make a poor decision. One mistake does not erase your progress. The danger begins when one mistake becomes permission to return fully to your old life. You miss one day and decide the habit is broken. You respond to one message and return to the entire relationship. You spend more than planned and abandon the budget completely. Recover quickly. Say, "That was not the decision I wanted to make, but I will not use it as an excuse to make another bad one." Correct the direction while the mistake is still small. Strength is not perfection. Strength is reducing the distance between falling and returning to the path. Learn from every choice that caused pain. Do not only ask, "Why did this happen to me?" Ask, "What did I ignore? What did I need so badly that I accepted less than I deserved? What emotion was controlling me? What boundary was missing? What decision would protect me if the situation appeared again?" Pain becomes wisdom only when it changes your future behavior. Otherwise, it remains a repeated lesson. You must also make decisions based on where you are going, not only on where you have been. Your past may explain your habits, but it does not have to control your next move. Perhaps you learned to avoid conflict, seek approval, distrust yourself, or accept instability. Those patterns may have helped you survive an earlier part of life, but survival habits can become obstacles when you are trying to grow. Ask whether the old behavior still serves the new person you are becoming. You may have once remained silent to stay safe, but now you need to speak. You may have once depended on others for direction, but now you need to decide. You may have once accepted very little because you were afraid of being alone, but now you are learning that solitude is better than constant disrespect. The decisions that protected your past self may not be the decisions that will build your future self. Think of your future as someone you deeply love. Imagine them waking up inside the life your current decisions are creating. What kind of body will they live in? What financial situation will they inherit? What relationships will surround them? What opportunities will still be available? What regrets will they carry? What confidence will they possess? Would you knowingly send someone you love into a life filled with problems you could have prevented? This does not mean you can control every outcome. Life will still bring loss, disappointment, and unexpected challenges. Better decisions do not create a perfect future. They create a stronger person who is more prepared to face an imperfect future. You may still fail after making a wise choice. You may still be rejected after giving your best. You may still lose people despite treating them well. The goal is not to control everything. The goal is to live in a way that allows you to say, I protected my dignity. I acted with wisdom. I did not knowingly abandon myself. There is peace in making a decision you can respect, even when the outcome is painful. Sometimes protecting your future means ending something, a habit, friendship, relationship, job, excuse, or identity may have reached its end. You may keep holding on because you have already invested years into it, but the time you have already spent is gone. The real question is whether you are willing to spend even more. Do not keep walking in the wrong direction simply because you have walked there for a long time. Turning around may feel like failure, but continuing toward a future you no longer want is the greater loss. Sometimes protecting your future means beginning something before you feel prepared. Apply for the opportunity, start learning the skill, create the first version, ask for help, make the plan. You may be waiting for certainty that will never arrive. A better decision is not always the safest one. Sometimes it is the brave choice that creates a new possibility. Fear often tries to protect you from embarrassment, rejection, and discomfort, but it can also protect you from growth. Listen to fear, but do not obey it automatically. Ask whether you are facing genuine danger or simply the discomfort of becoming visible, responsible, and serious about your life. The person you are becoming will require decisions the person you were would have avoided. Choose relationships that support your growth rather than relationships that require you to shrink. Choose work that builds skill rather than distraction that destroys focus. Choose honesty rather than temporary approval. Choose patience rather than forcing what is not ready. Choose dignity rather than begging. Choose progress rather than perfection. Choose the difficult truth rather than the comfortable lie. Not every better decision will immediately reward you. Sometimes you will do the right thing and feel worse for a while. You will leave what hurt you and still miss it. You will set a boundary and still feel guilty. You will begin working toward your future and feel more tired than before. This is because growth often removes the comfort before it delivers the result. Do not measure the quality of a decision only by how it feels in the first hour. Measure it by what it builds over time. A powerful life is created by learning to delay rewards. You work before you see progress. You save before you feel secure. You practice before you feel talented. You heal before you feel ready to trust again. You make the better decision repeatedly until the result finally becomes visible. People may call you lucky when they see the outcome, but they will not see the quiet choices that created it. Protect your future by becoming careful about what you repeatedly consume. The conversations you hear, videos you watch, ideas you accept, and environments you remain in all influence your decisions. Your mind cannot be filled with negativity, comparison, fear, and distraction all day, and still guide you clearly. Feed your mind with information that strengthens judgment. Read things that challenge you. Listen to people whose actions match their advice. Spend time in silence so you can recognize which thoughts are yours and which ones were planted by the world around you. Clear decisions require a clear mind. You do not need to change your entire life tonight. Choose one area where your decisions have been damaging your future. Perhaps it is your health, time, money, relationships, work, or self-respect. Identify one decision that would begin protecting you. Make it simple and specific. Then repeat it until it becomes part of who you are. You might decide not to contact the person who only returns when they need something. You might work for one focused hour before opening social media. You might begin saving a small amount from every payment. You might stop speaking negatively about yourself. You might prepare tomorrow's priorities before going to sleep. Small decisions become powerful when they are repeated long enough. The future version of you does not need perfection from you. They need loyalty. They need you to stop trading their peace for your temporary comfort. They need you to stop creating wounds they must heal. They need you to stop delaying the work that would make their life easier. Every time you choose wisely, you send a message forward in time. I did not forget you. I protected you even when it was difficult. That is what it means to put yourself first. It does not mean ignoring everyone else. It means refusing to sacrifice your entire future for people, emotions and habits that will not take responsibility for the damage they cause. Become someone who pauses before reacting, thinks beyond the moment, respects their standards, and chooses according to the life they want to build. Let your decisions become stronger than your moods. Let your values become louder than pressure. Let your future become more important than temporary relief. One day, you will wake up inside a life created by the decisions you are making now. Make sure it is a life that proves you protected the person you were becoming. Chapter 7. Silence the inner voice that keeps breaking you. The most damaging voice in your life may not belong to someone who criticized, rejected, or disappointed you. It may be the voice inside your own mind that continues repeating their words long after they are gone. It follows you into quiet moments, appears whenever you make a mistake, and speaks with such confidence that you begin mistaking it for truth. It tells you that you are weak, behind, unworthy, incapable, or destined to fail. It takes one difficult moment and turns it into a judgment about your entire life. You cannot become your own support system while allowing that voice to attack you every day. You cannot build confidence while constantly reminding yourself of everything you dislike. You cannot rise with strength while speaking to yourself like someone you want to destroy. At some point, you must recognize that the way you speak to yourself is not a small detail. It is shaping your energy, choices, courage, and identity. Many people believe harsh self-criticism will force them to improve. They think insulting themselves will create discipline, but cruelty rarely produces lasting strength. It may create fear, pressure, and temporary action, but it also creates exhaustion. When every mistake becomes proof that you are worthless, you begin avoiding challenges because failure feels too dangerous. You stop trying new things, delay important work, and hide from opportunities because you cannot trust yourself to respond with patience if something goes wrong. A cruel inner voice does not make you stronger. It makes every difficult experience heavier. Think about what happens after you make a mistake. Perhaps you miss a deadline, break a promise, return to an old habit, or fail at something you wanted badly. Instead of addressing the decision clearly, your mind attacks your identity. It does not say, that choice was harmful. It says, you ruin everything. It does not say, you need a better plan. It says, you are hopeless. It does not say, try again. It says, you will never change. This is the difference between accountability and self-destruction. Accountability identifies the behavior and looks for a better response. Self-destruction turns the behavior into a permanent definition of who you are. One helps you grow, the other convinces you that growth is impossible. You must begin separating your identity from your mistakes. You may have made poor decisions, but you are not permanently defined by them. You may have failed, but failure is an event, not a name. You may have lost time, trusted the wrong person, ignored your instincts, or abandoned a goal, but none of these things means your future has been decided. Say, I made a choice that hurt me, instead of, I always destroy my life. Say, I was not prepared, instead of, I am incapable. Say, I need to rebuild this habit, instead of, I have no discipline. Accurate language gives you a path forward. Cruel language closes every door. Your inner voice may have been shaped by your past. Perhaps you grew up around people who focused on every mistake and ignored your progress. Maybe someone compared you to others, laughed at your dreams, or made you feel as if love had to be earned through perfection. You may have learned to attack yourself before anyone else could. If you criticized yourself first, rejection felt less surprising. If you expected failure, disappointment felt easier to control. These habits may have once protected you from shock, but now they are preventing you from living fully. You no longer need to repeat every harmful voice that entered your life. You can understand where the pattern began without allowing it to continue. Ask yourself, whose voice does this thought sound like? When your mind says you are not good enough, is that truly your belief? Or is it something you heard repeatedly from someone else? When it tells you that your dreams are unrealistic, is that wisdom? Or is it the fear of a person who never had the courage to pursue their own life? When it says nobody will ever choose you, is that truth? Or is it the wound left by someone who failed to value you? Not every thought inside your mind belongs to the person you are today. Some thoughts are old recordings. They continue playing because you have never stopped to question them. A thought can feel familiar without being true. Begin noticing the moments when your inner voice becomes most destructive. It may attack you when you are tired, lonely, rejected, embarrassed, or comparing yourself to someone else. It may become louder at night when there are fewer distractions. It may appear after scrolling through perfect images of other people's lives. It may speak after a small setback and convince you that everything is falling apart. These moments matter because awareness gives you distance. Instead of automatically believing the thought, you can say, I am exhausted, so my mind is speaking from fear. I do not need to make conclusions about my life tonight. You can pause and refuse to turn a temporary emotion into a permanent belief. Do not trust every thought simply because it appears in your mind. Thoughts are not commands. They are not always facts. Sometimes they are habits, fears, memories, or emotional reactions. You can hear a thought without obeying it. You can notice it without building your identity around it. When your mind says, you cannot do this, ask, what evidence proves that? Perhaps you have not succeeded yet, but that is not proof that you cannot learn. When it says, you are too far behind, ask, behind according to whose timeline? When it says, everyone is doing better than you, ask whether you truly know their struggles, sacrifices, and private reality. A negative inner voice becomes powerful when it is never questioned. Challenge it with honesty. This does not mean replacing every painful thought with unrealistic praise. You do not need to tell yourself that you are perfect. You need to speak in a way that is balanced, useful, and respectful. Instead of saying, everything will be easy, say, this will be difficult, but I can learn how to handle it. Instead of saying, I never fail, say, failure will not stop me from improving. Instead of saying, I am the best, say, I am responsible for becoming better than I was. Healthy self-talk is not pretending. It is refusing to use fear as the only narrator of your life. The way you speak to yourself during failure matters more than the way you speak during success. Anyone can feel confident when everything is working. Your real relationship with yourself is revealed when something goes wrong. Do you become your own enemy, or do you become the voice that helps you recover? Imagine a child learning to walk. They fall repeatedly, but nobody expects them to insult themselves, feel ashamed, and decide they were not born to stand. Falling is understood as part of learning, yet as adults, people expect themselves to master difficult skills immediately. They try once, struggle, and conclude that they lack talent. They forget that nearly every form of strength is built through awkward beginnings. Allow yourself to be a beginner. Allow yourself to be imperfect while learning. Do not destroy your confidence because the first version was not impressive. Every capable person once moved slowly, made mistakes, and felt uncertain. Your inner voice should help you continue, not demand perfection before you begin. Comparison is one of the fastest ways to strengthen self-criticism. You look at someone's results and compare them with your early stage. You see their confidence, but not the years of insecurity behind it. You see their success, but not the failed attempts that shaped it. You see the finished chapter while judging your unfinished page. Comparison removes context and then punishes you for the difference. There will always be someone ahead of you in some area. If your peace depends on being better than everyone, you will never feel secure. Use other people as proof of what may be possible, not as evidence that you are failing. Let their progress teach you, not humiliate you. Return your attention to your own path. Ask whether you are becoming more disciplined, honest, courageous, and aware than you were before. Your real competition is not another person's life. It is the pattern inside you that wants to remain unchanged. You must also stop turning every delay into a personal failure. Some seasons move slowly because you are healing, learning, rebuilding, or carrying responsibilities other people cannot see. Progress is not always dramatic. Sometimes progress is refusing to return to what broke you. Sometimes it is getting through the day without giving up. Sometimes it is choosing silence instead of an argument, completing one task after weeks of avoidance, or finally admitting that something must change. Do not insult small progress. Small progress is often the beginning of permanent change. Your inner voice may tell you that small actions do not matter because the final goal is still far away. Ignore that lie. Every strong life is built through ordinary decisions repeated long enough. One workout may not transform your body, but it strengthens identity. One focused hour may not build your career, but it proves you can begin. One boundary may not remove every unhealthy person, but it teaches you that your peace deserves protection. Celebrate evidence of movement. You do not need to become arrogant. You need to recognize that progress deserves acknowledgement. A person who never notices improvement will always feel defeated, even while moving forward. Be careful with words such as always, never, and everyone. The inner critic uses extreme language to make pain feel permanent. I always fail. Nobody understands me. Nothing ever works. Everyone leaves. These sentences feel powerful because they remove exceptions, possibilities, and hope. Question them. Did you truly fail every time, or are you remembering only the moments that hurt? Has nobody supported you, or are you ignoring the people who tried because their support did not come from the person you wanted? Has nothing improved, or are some changes too quiet to notice yet? Extreme language creates emotional prisons. Specific language creates solutions. Instead of saying, "My life is a disaster," identify the exact area that needs work. Perhaps your routine is inconsistent, your finances require attention, or one relationship is draining you. The specific problem can be addressed. A global judgment only creates helplessness. The inner voice becomes especially cruel when you carry shame. Guilt says, "I did something wrong." Shame says, "There is something wrong with me." Guilt can guide better behavior. Shame convinces you that improvement is pointless because you believe the problem is your entire identity. You may regret something deeply, but endlessly punishing yourself does not repair it. Take responsibility. Apologize where appropriate. Correct what can be corrected. Learn the lesson. Then refuse to remain trapped in a version of yourself that no longer reflects who you are trying to become. You are allowed to grow beyond your worst decision. Some people hold on to self-hatred because they believe forgiving themselves means excusing the harm. It does not. Self-forgiveness means accepting that you cannot rewrite the past, but you can stop repeating it. It allows you to use the lesson instead of living inside the punishment. Ask yourself what continuing to hate yourself is accomplishing. Is it making you kinder, wiser, and more responsible? Or is it keeping you weak, distracted, and afraid to move forward? Real change requires energy. Constant self-attack consumes the energy you need to rebuild. You must learn to correct yourself without humiliating yourself. Speak firmly when necessary. Say, "This behavior is no longer acceptable. I know where it leads, and I am choosing differently." Discipline does not require hatred. You can hold yourself to a high standard because you respect your potential, not because you despise who you are. There is a powerful difference between saying, "I must change because I am worthless," and saying, "I will change because my life deserves better." The action may look similar, but the foundation is completely different. One is driven by rejection, the other is driven by responsibility. Change built on self-hatred often collapses because you eventually become tired of fighting yourself. Change built on self-respect becomes sustainable because every better decision feels like protection. Your inner voice should also remind you of what you have survived. The mind naturally remembers failure because it wants to protect you from repeating pain, but it often forgets resilience. It remembers the days you broke down, but ignores the days you got back up. It remembers the rejection, but forgets the courage it took to try. It remembers how lost you felt, but not how many times you found a way forward. Keep a record of your survival. Remember the moments when you thought you would not make it through, but you did. Remember the mornings you stood up while carrying pain nobody knew about. Remember the times you started again without encouragement. These memories are not small. They are evidence that your inner critic is not telling the full story. When it says you are weak, answer with proof. The goal is not to silence every difficult thought forever. That may not be possible. The goal is to stop allowing those thoughts to control your choices. Courage is not a quiet mind with no fear. Courage is hearing fear and choosing according to your values anyway. You may still hear, "What if you fail?" Answer, "Then I will learn and try again." You may hear, "What if people judge you?" Answer, "Their judgment cannot build or destroy the life I am responsible for." You may hear, "What if you are not ready?" Answer, "Readiness will grow through action." The inner voice loses power when you stop treating it like an authority. Train a second voice, the voice of wisdom. This voice is calm, honest, and firm. It does not panic after one setback. It does not insult you. It asks useful questions. It says, pause, look at the situation clearly. What is within your control? What is the next responsible step? The voice of wisdom does not promise that life will become easy. It reminds you that difficulty can be handled one decision at a time. When your emotions are intense, write down what the critical voice is saying. Then write a response as if you were speaking to someone you deeply cared about. You may be surprised by how much patience you naturally offer another person. Give some of that patience to yourself. For example, the inner critic may say, "You wasted too much time. It is too late." A wiser response would be, "I cannot recover the past, but I can stop wasting today. Beginning late is still better than never beginning." It may say, "You failed again." Respond, "Yes, I returned to an old pattern, but I recognized it sooner. Now I can correct the next decision." Writing creates distance. It turns an invisible attack into words you can examine and challenge. Protect your mind by paying attention to what strengthens the negative voice. If certain online spaces constantly make you feel inadequate, reduce your exposure. If conversations with particular people always leave you doubting yourself, create boundaries. If exhaustion makes your thoughts darker, take sleep seriously. Your mental environment influences the voice inside you. Not every battle should be fought through willpower. Sometimes you need rest, distance, structure, or support. Be careful not to confuse isolation with strength. Becoming your own support does not mean refusing every form of help. There may be moments when you need trusted people, professional guidance, or a safe place to speak honestly. Reaching for healthy support does not make you weak. The goal is not to carry everything alone. The goal is to stop abandoning yourself while you seek help. You can support yourself by recognizing when a burden has become too heavy to manage without guidance. Strength includes knowing when to reach outward wisely. Your inner voice may resist asking for help because it fears judgment. It may say, "You should be able to handle this alone." But no one learns, heals, or grows entirely alone. Self-support means taking responsibility for finding what you need, not pretending you need nothing. You must also stop using other people's rejection as proof against yourself. Someone may fail to value you because of their limitations, priorities, or inability to understand what you offer. Their choice can hurt without becoming a final judgment on your worth. Not every closed door means you were not good enough. Sometimes the place was wrong. Sometimes the timing was wrong. Sometimes the person was unable to recognize what they were given. Sometimes rejection protects you from building your identity in a space that would have required you to shrink. Do not allow one person's inability to see you to become the voice through which you see yourself. Similarly, success does not make you worthy, and failure does not remove your worth. Results matter because they provide feedback, but they should not determine whether you deserve respect. You must be able to pursue improvement without making achievement the price of self-acceptance. Otherwise, every delay will feel like a personal crisis. You are not required to earn the right to speak to yourself with dignity. Create daily language that supports action. In the morning, instead of immediately thinking about everything that could go wrong, ask, what is one action that would make today meaningful? When you feel overwhelmed, say, I do not need to solve my entire life right now. When you feel behind, say, my responsibility is the next step, not the whole distance. These words may appear simple, but repeated language becomes mental structure. Over time, your mind learns that difficulty will be met with direction rather than attack. The strongest inner voice is not constantly emotional. It is dependable. It says the same truth on good days and bad days. You are responsible for yourself. You can learn. You can recover. You must continue. Become careful about the identity statements you repeat. When you say, I am lazy, your mind looks for evidence to protect that identity. When you say, I am terrible with money, you begin treating poor choices as inevitable. When you say, I always choose the wrong people, you may stop believing you can develop better judgment. Replace fixed identities with developing ones. Say, I am learning discipline. I am improving the way I manage money. I am becoming more careful about who receives my trust. These sentences do not deny the problem. They leave room for change. Your identity should describe your direction, not imprison you inside your history. There will be moments when the inner critic returns strongly, even after months of progress. Do not panic. Old patterns often reappear during stress. Their return does not mean you have failed. It gives you another opportunity to respond differently. Notice the thought. Name it. Challenge it. Choose the next action based on wisdom rather than fear. Every time you do this, you weaken the old pathway and strengthen a new one. Transformation is not the complete disappearance of negative thoughts. It is the growing ability to refuse their control. One of the most powerful things you can say to yourself is, I will not turn against myself because today was difficult. This sentence changes your relationship with failure. It tells your mind that mistakes will be corrected, not used as weapons. It creates safety within you. When you feel safe with yourself, you become more willing to take responsibility because you know honesty will not be followed by humiliation. You can examine your weaknesses without collapsing. You can admit where you need growth without concluding that you are worthless. This is how real confidence develops. It is not the belief that you will always succeed. It is the belief that whatever happens, you will not destroy yourself. You will respond, learn, adapt, and continue. Confidence grows when you trust the person inside you to remain present during difficulty. The world may criticize you. Some people may misunderstand your choices, doubt your potential, or remind you of who you used to be. You cannot control every voice around you, but you can decide whether those voices receive a permanent home inside your mind. Do not carry every opinion. Do not repeat every insult. Do not turn someone else's moment of cruelty into your lifelong identity. You have the right to rewrite the way you speak to yourself. Begin now. The next time you make a mistake, pause before attacking yourself. Describe what happened clearly. Decide what must change. Choose one corrective action. Then speak with the firmness of someone who refuses to let you escape responsibility and the compassion of someone who refuses to let you collapse. Say, this was not my best decision, but it will not become the end of my progress. I will correct what I can, learn what I must, and move forward. That is not weakness. That is emotional discipline. Become the voice that reminds you to continue when motivation disappears. Become the voice that tells the truth without cruelty. Become the voice that recognizes pain without turning it into identity. Become the voice that refuses to let one bad day become a broken life. You may not be able to control every hardship, rejection, or failure that enters your path, but you can control whether your own voice becomes another enemy you must survive. Silence the voice that says you are finished. Silence the voice that uses your past to predict your future. Silence the voice that turns every mistake into evidence against your existence. Then strengthen a new voice, one decision at a time. Let it say, you are still learning. You are still rebuilding. You are still responsible for what happens next. You have fallen before, but you are not required to remain there. When that voice becomes stronger, you will no longer need perfect circumstances to believe in yourself. You will no longer collapse whenever someone criticizes, leaves, or fails to support you. You will carry a source of strength that cannot be removed by another person's absence. You will become someone who can correct themselves without hating themselves, challenge themselves without breaking themselves, and rise without waiting for the world to speak kindly first. That is how you become your own support system. You stop using your voice to repeat the damage, and you begin using it to build the person who will carry you through everything still ahead. Chapter 8. Rise while you are still afraid and become unstoppable. There comes a moment when waiting to feel ready becomes more dangerous than taking the risk. You have already thought about the decision, imagined every possible failure, and promised yourself that you will begin when your confidence improves. Yet confidence does not arrive because you remain in the same place. Fear continues growing because every day of avoidance teaches your mind that the thing in front of you must be too powerful to face. The longer you wait, the more impossible the first step begins to feel. You must understand one life-changing truth. Courage does not begin after fear disappears. Courage begins when fear is still present, but you refuse to let it choose your direction. Your hands may shake, your mind may be filled with doubt, and part of you may want to return to what feels familiar. None of this means you are unprepared. It means you are standing at the edge of something that could change you. Most people believe strong individuals are naturally fearless. They imagine that successful people wake up certain of every decision and move forward without questioning themselves. But strength is rarely that clean. Strong people feel hesitation, insecurity, and pressure like everyone else. The difference is that they have learned not to treat fear as a command. They hear it, examine it, and continue when continuing is the right decision. Fear is designed to protect you, but it does not always understand the difference between danger and growth. It may react to public speaking as if you are under attack. It may treat rejection as if it will destroy you. It may tell you that beginning a new career, ending an unhealthy relationship, setting a boundary, or showing your work to the world is unsafe. Fear is trying to keep you inside what it already knows, even when what it knows is keeping you trapped. You cannot build a new life while obeying every warning created by the old one. The person you are becoming will require actions that the person you used to be avoided. You may need to speak when silence once protected you. You may need to leave what you once begged to keep. You may need to take responsibility where you previously made excuses. You may need to move without approval from people who have never understood your vision. Growth will often feel like danger before it feels like freedom. Do not wait for your fear to give you permission. It may never agree with the decision that could transform you. Instead, ask whether the thing you fear is truly harmful or simply unfamiliar. There is a difference between a warning that protects your life and a feeling that protects your comfort. Wisdom helps you recognize the difference. Perhaps you are afraid to begin because you could fail, but remaining still is also a decision, and it carries its own consequences. If you do nothing, you may avoid embarrassment today, but you could spend years wondering what your life might have become. You may protect yourself from one moment of rejection while accepting a lifetime of regret. You may avoid looking foolish while allowing your abilities to remain hidden. Fear only shows you the risk of moving. It rarely shows you the cost of staying where you are. Ask yourself what your life will look like if you continue obeying the same fear for another year. Will the opportunity still exist? Will your confidence become stronger? Or will avoidance make it weaker? Will the problem solve itself? Or will it grow because you refuse to face it? Sometimes imagining the cost of inaction gives you more courage than imagining success. You do not need enough confidence to finish the entire journey. You only need enough courage to begin the next honest step. The mind becomes overwhelmed when it tries to carry the whole future at once. You think about every skill you must learn, every obstacle you could face, and every person who may judge you. The distance feels enormous, so you do nothing. Reduce the future to the action directly in front of you. Open the document, make the call, apply for the opportunity, walk into the room, have the conversation, complete the first hour of work. You do not have to defeat every fear today. You only have to refuse the first excuse that tries to stop you. Action changes fear in a way that thinking cannot. You can spend weeks analyzing a problem and still feel powerless, but one meaningful action gives your mind new evidence. It proves that you can move while uncomfortable. It shows you that uncertainty is survivable. It replaces imagination with experience. Before action, fear can create endless disasters. It tells you that one mistake will ruin your reputation, one rejection will prove you are worthless, or one failure will close every door. Once you act, reality usually becomes smaller and more manageable than the story in your head. Even when something goes wrong, you discover that you can respond. You learn, adjust, and continue. This is how courage grows. It is not delivered to you fully formed. It is built through repeated moments in which you choose movement over avoidance. The first decision may feel terrifying. The second still feels uncomfortable. But after enough repetition, your mind begins to recognize that fear does not have the final authority. You become unstoppable, not because nothing scares you, but because fear can no longer make every decision for you. There will be times when your first attempt fails. You may take the risk and receive no reward. You may speak honestly and still be misunderstood. You may work hard and still lose. Do not use these moments as proof that fear was right. A difficult result does not mean the action was a mistake. Sometimes failure is the price of information. It reveals what needs improvement, what must be changed, and what you were not ready to see while standing safely outside the experience. A person who avoids failure also avoids feedback. They protect their pride, but lose the chance to become capable. They remain full of potential because they never test themselves against reality. Potential may sound impressive, but unused potential cannot change your life. Only developed ability can do that, and ability is built through imperfect attempts. Allow yourself to be seen learning. You do not need to look powerful during every stage of becoming powerful. You may stumble, speak awkwardly, create weak first versions, and make decisions you later improve. This is not humiliation. It is the natural cost of becoming experienced. Many people remain trapped because they are more concerned with appearing capable than becoming capable. They hide from any situation where their weaknesses may be visible. They want the result without the beginner stage, but no one becomes skilled without first being uncertain. No one develops confidence without first entering situations that expose what they still need to learn. Give yourself permission to be new at something. The first version of your work does not need to impress everyone. It only needs to exist so that a better version can be built. Your first conversation may not be perfect. Your first boundary may feel uncomfortable. Your first attempt at discipline may be inconsistent. Keep improving instead of demanding immediate mastery. Perfection is often fear wearing respectable clothing. It tells you that you are simply waiting to do things properly, but beneath that delay is the fear of being judged. You keep preparing, researching, editing, and planning, because preparation feels safer than exposure. Eventually, your desire to produce something flawless prevents you from producing anything real. Choose progress that can be improved over perfection that never begins. Complete the work. Make the decision. Let reality teach you what imagination cannot. You can correct something that exists, but you cannot improve an action you never took. You must also stop waiting for people to understand why you are changing. Some will question your decisions because your growth changes the role they have played in your life. They may prefer the version of you that was always available, easy to influence, afraid to say no, or willing to remain small. When you begin protecting your time, pursuing larger goals, and refusing disrespect, they may call you selfish, arrogant, unrealistic, or different. You are different. That is the purpose. Do not return to a weaker version of yourself to make other people comfortable. Anyone who benefits from your lack of boundaries may resist your strength. Anyone who felt powerful when you doubted yourself may not celebrate your confidence. Their discomfort is not evidence that you are making the wrong decision. Rise even when you are misunderstood. You do not need everyone to agree with your direction before you take responsibility for your life. Advice can be valuable, but you must separate wise guidance from fearful opinions. Some people warn you because they see a genuine danger. Others warn you because your courage reminds them of the chances they never took. Listen carefully, think honestly, and then decide according to your values. Fear of judgment becomes weaker when you accept that people will form opinions regardless of what you do. If you take the risk, someone may criticize you. If you remain still, someone may call you lazy. If you succeed, someone may say you were lucky. If you fail, someone may feel proven right. You cannot build your life around controlling every interpretation. Let people misunderstand what they are not responsible for living. Your attention must return to the person who will carry the consequences, you. Years from now, you will not be comforted by the fact that everyone approved of the life that made you miserable. You will not feel proud that you remained small to avoid making others uncomfortable. Approval is too temporary to become the foundation of a permanent decision. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of the action you keep avoiding. That person is not fearless. They simply have evidence you do not yet have. They know they can survive rejection because they faced it. They know they can recover from mistakes because they stopped treating mistakes as endings. They trust themselves because they repeatedly moved when fear told them to remain still. You cannot think your way into becoming that person. You must act your way there. Begin developing a relationship with discomfort. Do not treat every unpleasant feeling as an emergency that must be escaped. Sometimes, discomfort means you are doing the exact thing your growth requires. Your heart may race before an important conversation. Your body may resist the discipline of a new routine. Your mind may search for excuses when you sit down to complete difficult work. Remain present. Tell yourself, this feeling is uncomfortable, but it is not in control. Breathe slowly. Relax your shoulders. Return your attention to the task. Each time you stay instead of escaping, you expand what you are capable of carrying. The life you want may require a greater tolerance for uncertainty. There will not always be a clear guarantee that your effort will succeed. You may need to invest time before seeing results. Trust a process before receiving proof, and continue while your progress remains invisible. This uncertainty can feel unbearable when you are used to immediate rewards. Learn to move without knowing everything. Certainty is rarely available at the beginning. Clarity often appears after you start walking. You discover what you want by experiencing what does not fit. You discover what works by testing what fails. You discover your strength by entering situations that require it. Stop demanding a map for a road that can only be understood through movement. This does not mean acting carelessly. Prepare where preparation is useful. Study the situation. Understand the risks. Build the necessary skills, but recognize the point when preparation has become hiding. There is a moment when more thinking will no longer protect you. It will only delay the test that reveals whether you are ready. You may never feel completely ready, because readiness is not a feeling. It is the willingness to respond to whatever happens next. When fear becomes loud, return to your reasons. Why does this matter to you? What will change if you succeed? What part of yourself will remain trapped if you refuse to try? A strong reason can carry you when motivation disappears. It reminds you that discomfort has a purpose. Do not pursue difficult goals only because they impress other people. External praise is too weak to sustain you through private struggle. Choose goals connected to your values, responsibilities, and desired future. When the reason belongs to you, you become less dependent on applause. There will be long periods when nobody notices your effort. You may wake early, work late, practice quietly, and make sacrifices that produce no immediate recognitions. These are the moments when your commitment becomes real. Anyone can continue when results are visible. The person who becomes unstoppable is the one who keeps building before the world has evidence. Invisible progress is still progress. A seed does not look powerful while its roots are growing, but those hidden roots determine whether it can survive future storms. Your discipline, judgment, patience, and skill may be developing beneath the surface, long before anyone sees the result. Do not destroy the process because the reward is taking longer than expected. You may feel tempted to compare your speed with someone else's. They appear to be rising faster, receiving opportunities sooner, and moving through doors that remain closed for you. Comparison can turn your journey into a punishment. It makes you overlook what you are learning because someone else seems further ahead. You do not know the full cost of another person's progress. You do not know how long they worked before you noticed them, what support they received, or what difficulties remain hidden. Their timeline does not define yours. Your responsibility is not to become someone else faster. It is to stop wasting the life that belongs to you. Move at the speed you can sustain, but do not use patience as an excuse for avoidance. There is a difference between growing steadily and standing still while claiming to trust the process. Honest patience includes action. It continues planting, learning, improving, and adjusting while waiting for results. You must also become willing to outgrow your own excuses. Excuses often contain a small amount of truth. You may genuinely be tired, unsupported, inexperienced, afraid, or busy. But a true difficulty can still become a false reason to remain stuck forever. Your circumstances may explain why progress is harder, but they do not always justify complete surrender. Ask what is possible within the reality you have. Perhaps you cannot work for 5 hours, but you can protect one focused hour. Perhaps you cannot change everything immediately, but you can make one decision that changes the direction. Perhaps you do not have the resources to build the final version, but you have enough to begin learning. Unstoppable people do not possess unlimited energy, time, or support. They become skilled at using what is available instead of waiting endlessly for what is missing. Your life can change through small acts of courage, repeated consistently. Waking when you said you would wake. Completing the work before seeking entertainment. Saying no without apologizing for protecting your values. Leaving the environment that keeps weakening you. Asking the difficult question. Applying after rejection. Starting again after embarrassment. These choices may look ordinary, but they train your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who always retreats. You begin seeing yourself as someone who can be trusted under pressure. Identity is powerful because people naturally act according to who they believe they are. If you continue saying, "I am afraid of everything," your mind will search for evidence that retreat is natural. Instead, say, "I am learning to act even when fear appears." This statement does not deny your emotion, it defines your direction. Each courageous decision becomes proof. Eventually, you do not need to force the new identity. You have lived it enough times to believe it. There will still be moments when you fall back into avoidance. You may delay, lose momentum, or allow fear to win one decision. Do not turn one retreat into a permanent return to your old life. Recognize what happened without attacking yourself. Ask what triggered the fear, what support or preparation was missing, and what action can restore movement. Recover quickly. The ability to return is more important than the fantasy of never struggling. Some people lose months because they are ashamed of losing one day. They break a routine and decide they have failed completely. They avoid one opportunity and begin describing themselves as a coward. Do not add unnecessary damage to a temporary setback. Correct the next choice. You are not required to feel proud of every decision, but you are responsible for what you decide after recognizing the mistake. Fear will sometimes tell you that it is too late. It will remind you of your age, wasted years, missed opportunities, and previous failures. It will try to convince you that beginning now would only expose how far behind you are, but time will continue moving, whether you begin or not. A year from now, you can have 1 year of progress or 1 more year of regret. You cannot return to the perfect time you imagine you missed, but you can stop creating another missed opportunity today. Beginning late requires courage, because you must release the fantasy of how life should have happened. You must accept your real starting point. This can feel painful, but it is also freeing. You no longer need to spend energy arguing with the past. You can use that energy to build what remains possible. Your future does not ask whether you began at the ideal time. It asks whether you began before another year disappeared. Rise without waiting for emotional certainty. Some mornings you will feel powerful, and other mornings you will feel empty. Do not allow your mood to decide whether your commitments matter. Feelings provide information, but they should not control every action. A disciplined person can acknowledge, "I do not feel motivated today," and still complete what must be done. You do not need to perform at your highest level every day. You need to remain connected to the direction. On difficult days, reduce the task instead of abandoning it. Work for 20 minutes. Read 1 page. Make 1 responsible decision. Keep the relationship with your goal alive. Consistency becomes powerful when you stop demanding perfect performance. You must also be willing to release the old version of yourself. Growth is not only gaining new habits, it is grieving identities that once felt safe. You may need to stop being the person who always waits for permission, avoids conflict, hides their abilities, or accepts less to avoid being alone. The old identity may resist because it knows how to survive through invisibility. The new identity requires visibility, responsibility, and risk. You may feel as if you are losing yourself, but in reality, you are losing the limitations you once mistook for personality. Do not say, "I have always been this way," as if your past behavior is a permanent law. You have been many versions of yourself already. You can become another. An unstoppable person is not someone who never needs rest. Rest is necessary. Your body and mind cannot remain in constant battle, but rest must restore your strength, not become a hiding place from responsibility. Learn to rest without quitting. Step back without losing direction. Recover without turning recovery into endless delay. You are allowed to move slowly. You are not allowed to keep lying to yourself about whether you are moving at all. There will be challenges that require more than motivation. Build systems that protect your effort when emotions change. Prepare your environment before temptation appears. Decide when and where you will work. Remove distractions. Keep your priorities visible. Make the courageous action easier to begin. Strength is not only about fighting yourself every day. It is also about designing a life where the better decision has support. Surround yourself with reminders of who you are becoming. Read words that strengthen your judgment. Listen to people whose lives demonstrate discipline rather than people who only speak about it. Spend less time in environments where fear, excuses, and negativity are treated as wisdom. Your mind absorbs the standards around it. Protect what you repeatedly hear. At the same time, do not become dependent on constant encouragement. Inspiration can help you begin, but it cannot become the fuel for every step. There will be days when no speech moves you, no person notices you, and no result appears. In those moments, your commitment must become stronger than your desire to feel inspired. Say, "This matters even when it does not feel exciting." That sentence separates people who dream from people who build. You may have to rise while carrying disappointment. Perhaps someone you trusted left. Perhaps an opportunity disappeared. Perhaps life did not unfold according to your plan. Do not wait until every wound heals before returning to your future. Healing and movement can happen together. You can feel sadness and still complete your responsibilities. You can miss someone and still refuse to return. You can grieve the old life while building a new one. Pain does not always need to disappear before progress begins. Do not use suffering as proof that you are broken. Some of the strongest parts of you may be developing because life forced you to discover what comfort never required. You are learning to make decisions without approval, carry emotions without escaping, and stand without the support you once believed was necessary. The experience may not have been fair, but you can still choose what it produces inside you. Let hardship make you more aware, not more hopeless. Let rejection make you more selective, not more closed. Let failure make you more prepared, not more ashamed. Let loneliness teach you to hear your own voice, not convince you that you have no value. You cannot control every lesson life sends, but you can influence the person who leaves the classroom. Becoming unstoppable does not mean forcing every door. Wisdom includes knowing when to continue and when to change direction. Sometimes courage means persisting. Other times courage means admitting that the path is wrong, the relationship is finished, or the plan needs to be rebuilt. Do not confuse stubbornness with strength. The goal is not to continue doing what harms you. The goal is to remain committed to growth, even when growth requires letting go. You are unstoppable when one closed road cannot convince you that the destination is impossible. There will be moments when you must walk alone, not because nobody cares, but because some decisions belong entirely to you. Others may advise you, but they cannot enter your mind, carry your fear, or take responsibility for the outcome. At some point, you must choose and live with the choice. This is where self-trust becomes essential. You may not know everything, but you can trust yourself to respond, learn, and correct the direction if necessary. You do not need the guarantee that every decision will succeed. You need the confidence that you will not abandon yourself if it does not. The person who trusts their ability to recover becomes far more willing to take meaningful risks. Remind yourself that you have already survived moments you once believed would destroy you. You have faced uncertainty before. You have carried pain nobody fully understood. You have continued through days when your mind told you to stop. These memories are evidence. You may not have handled every moment perfectly, but you are still here. That means the voice saying, "You cannot survive this," has been wrong before. Return to that proof whenever fear becomes convincing. Your final transformation begins when you stop seeing fear as a wall and start seeing it as a doorway. On the other side may be rejection, difficulty, or failure, but there may also be freedom, capability, and a life larger than the one you are currently protecting. You cannot discover what is waiting there while standing permanently outside. Take the step while your heart is uncertain. Speak while your voice is not completely steady. Begin while your plan still has unanswered questions. Let action teach your body that fear can be carried. Let repetition teach your mind that discomfort is temporary. Let every attempt build the person who no longer needs perfect conditions. One day, you will look back at the version of yourself who was afraid to begin. You will not judge them. You will understand how difficult the moment felt, but you will also be grateful that they moved. That single action may become the beginning of everything you later call your strength. Rise before the world believes you are ready. Rise before you receive the apology, approval, opportunity, or support you were waiting for. Rise while the fear still tells you to remain hidden, Rise because your future cannot be built by the part of you that only wants to stay safe. You have waited long enough for certainty. You have asked fear enough questions. You have imagined enough endings without giving yourself the chance to create a beginning. Now move, not because you are fearless, but because your life matters more than your fear. Not because success is guaranteed, but because remaining trapped is no longer acceptable. Not because you know every step, but because you finally understand that the next step is enough. Become the person who acts before confidence arrives and discovers confidence along the way. Become the person who can fail without disappearing, hurt without surrendering, and stand without waiting for a hand to lift them. Become someone who can hear fear and still choose courage. Become someone who can walk through uncertainty without losing direction. Become someone who keeps rising until the life that once felt impossible becomes the evidence that you were always stronger than the voice telling you to stay down. Rise while you are still afraid, and keep rising until fear understands that it no longer controls you. There may still be days when nobody notices your struggle, nobody reaches for your hand, and nobody understands how much strength it takes for you to keep going. But now you know something you did not know before. Being unsupported does not mean being powerless. You can become the voice that keeps you moving, the strength that carries you through pain, and the foundation that remains when everything else changes. You can fall without staying down, lose people without losing yourself, and face fear without allowing it to choose your future. Stop waiting for the world to become kinder before you become stronger. Stop waiting for permission, rescue, or perfect confidence. Put yourself first, keep your promises, protect the person you are becoming, and rise even when no one comes. Because the greatest victory is not having someone save you. It is becoming someone who no longer needs to be saved.